My friends, life is already challenging enough without carrying the weight of someone else's poison. Some people bring joy, light, and growth into your life. Others drain your spirit, erode your confidence, and make you question your worth. These are not just difficult people. These are toxic personalities, and learning to recognize them is one of the most important acts of self-respect you can ever practice. One of the first signs that you are dealing with a toxic personality is the way they handle your emotions, or rather the way they refuse to handle them at all. When you share something that hurts, instead of leaning in with compassion, they wave it off with phrases like, "You're too sensitive," or "It's not that serious." When you celebrate a win, they might roll their eyes, ignore it, or quickly shift the focus back onto themselves. This may not sound harmful at first, but over time, these small dismissals start to reshape how you see yourself. You begin to believe that maybe your feelings are too much, that maybe you should keep quiet, or worse, that your emotions don't matter at all. This is how toxicity works. It silences your voice by convincing you that your inner world is unworthy of being seen. A healthy relationship, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or even a colleague, makes room for emotions. It doesn't always have to agree with how you feel, but it acknowledges that your feelings are real and valid. Toxic people, on the other hand, shut the door on your heart. They teach you through repeated rejection to distrust your own emotional compass. Think about it. If every time you tried to express yourself, someone dismissed or mocked you, wouldn't you start to shrink? Wouldn't you begin to question whether it's even safe to share what you feel? This is not a mistake or a one-time lapse of empathy. This is a pattern, and the danger of this pattern is that it chips away at your identity until silence becomes your survival mechanism. To protect yourself, you must learn to notice the difference between someone disagreeing with your feelings and someone dismissing them. Disagreement can still honor your humanity. Dismissal denies it. One creates dialogue, the other creates emotional suffocation. When someone repeatedly dismisses your feelings, hear this clearly. They are telling you that your heart is not safe with them. And the most sacred responsibility you have is to never allow anyone to convince you that your feelings are invalid. Because when your emotions are silenced, your soul begins to shrink. A truly toxic personality is not afraid of lies. They are skilled in them. But what makes them especially dangerous is that they rarely lie outright in a way that's easy to catch. Instead, they twist the truth just enough to make you doubt yourself. This subtle bending of reality is called manipulation, and it is one of their greatest weapons. For example, you might clearly recall something they said to you in anger, yet when you bring it up later, they insist, "I never said that. You must be imagining things." Or perhaps you confront them about a betrayal, and instead of taking responsibility, they shift the spotlight. "If you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have reacted that way." What just happened? They twisted the truth to make you question your memory and feel responsible for their actions. This tactic is designed to destabilize you. When you start doubting your own perception, you slowly begin to rely on them for clarity. You start believing their version of events instead of trusting your own eyes, ears, and intuition. This psychological game is not accidental, it's calculated. It's how toxic personalities maintain control. Over time, you may find yourself second-guessing everything. Did I misunderstand? Maybe I overreacted. Perhaps it was my fault. That's the power of manipulation. It doesn't just deceive you in the moment. It rewires the way you see yourself. It makes you question your judgment, eroding your ability to trust your own decisions. Healthy people tell the truth even when it is uncomfortable. Toxic people avoid the truth because the truth exposes them. So they disguise it, reframe it, or bury it under layers of half-truths until you no longer recognize what's real. And here lies the danger. If you remain in such a relationship for long enough, you may start to believe that lies are normal, that confusion is love, and that manipulation is just misunderstanding. but it is not normal. It is not love. It is abuse of trust. The best protection against this toxic twist of truth is clarity. Write things down. Hold on to your memory. Trust your intuition. And most importantly, notice the patterns. One lie might be a mistake, but repeated twisting of reality is a red flag waving right in front of you. If someone makes you feel like you can't trust your own mind, step back. Because manipulation is not just about controlling the present. It's about stealing your future ability to stand confidently in your own truth. One of the clearest indicators of a toxic personality is their relationship with chaos. While most people long for peace, stability, and balance, toxic individuals crave the exact opposite. They are most alive when conflict is raging, when drama is unfolding, and when confusion fills the air. Chaos is their stage, and drama is their fuel. Think about this. When life is calm, when there is laughter and ease, a toxic person often feels threatened. Why? Because peace removes their power. They cannot manipulate calm waters, so they stir storms. They create unnecessary arguments, spread rumors, provoke jealousy, or ignite conflicts that never needed to exist. They need everyone around them to walk on eggshells, because when you are unsettled, you are easier to control. Have you noticed how some people always seem to carry trouble with them? Wherever they go, conflict follows. At first, you might think, wow, they just have bad luck. But if you look closely, you'll see it's not bad luck. It's a pattern. They manufacture problems because drama keeps the spotlight on them. When there's chaos, they become the center, either as the victim who needs rescuing or the fighter who demands loyalty. The effect on you? Exhaustion. Every interaction leaves you drained. Instead of peace, you live in a cycle of defending yourself, clarifying rumors, and putting out fires they lit in the first place. The more time you spend with them, the more you begin to normalize stress until you can't even remember what calm feels like. This is not by accident. It's their way of keeping control. Healthy people seek solutions. Toxic people seek scenes. They are addicted to the adrenaline of emotional turmoil. And if it means hurting you in the process, they won't hesitate. The danger here is that their chaos starts to infect you. You may find yourself constantly reactive, anxious, and suspicious, even when they're not around. The truth is, drama is not a lifestyle. It is a weapon. Toxic people wield it to dominate environments, silence peace, and demand attention. The greatest act of resistance you can practice is to refuse participation. Do not enter their chaos. Do not fuel their stage. Step back, preserve your calm, and protect your energy. Because when you learn to identify someone who thrives on drama, you will finally understand that their storms were never yours to carry. Their chaos is not your responsibility. Their drama does not belong in your sphere. Toxic people are rarely obvious when they try to weaken you. If they insulted you directly every day, you would recognize the abuse and likely walk away. Instead, they choose a more dangerous and deceptive path. They chip away at your self-worth quietly, subtly, and over time. They are masters of slow erosion. They do this through sarcasm disguised as humor. You're so sensitive, I was only joking. Or through backhanded compliments. Wow, you did great for someone like you. Sometimes it's through constant comparison. Why can't you be more like her? Why can't you do it the way he does? These words may seem small in isolation, but over time they create cracks in your confidence. The most insidious part is how subtle it all feels. You might walk away from the conversation unsure if they insulted you or not. You replay their words in your head, trying to decode the intent. This confusion is deliberate. Toxic people want you to doubt yourself, because when you doubt your worth, you become easier to control. Healthy people affirm your value even when they disagree with you. They can challenge you without belittling you. They can point out flaws without attacking your identity. But a toxic personality doesn't want to correct your actions. They want to weaken your soul. They don't want growth. They want dominance. And their most effective tool is making you question whether you are enough. Over time, this constant chipping away creates deep wounds. You may begin to hesitate before speaking, fearing their ridicule. You may stop celebrating your wins, anticipating that they'll downplay them anyway. You may even find yourself apologizing for simply existing in the space you're in. That is the effect of subtle attacks. It silences you before you even try. But here is the truth. Your worth is not defined by anyone else's ability to see it. Your value is not determined by their words, their tone, or their twisted humor. It is determined by who you are at your core, by your character, your resilience, and the uniqueness only you bring into this world. If you notice someone repeatedly making you feel smaller, weaker, or less than, take that as a warning sign. You are not imagining it. You are not being too sensitive. You are experiencing the slow poison of someone who is threatened by your light and determined to dim it. Protect your self-worth at all costs. Because once you reclaim your confidence, you take away the very weapon toxic people use to control you. If there is one quality that almost every toxic personality shares, it is this: they refuse to take responsibility for their actions. Accountability is the foundation of healthy relationships. It is the ability to say, I was wrong, or I hurt you, and I need to make it right. Without accountability, trust cannot exist. And without trust, no relationship can truly survive. Toxic people understand this, but they avoid it at all costs. To admit fault would require humility, and humility would strip them of the control they crave. So instead of taking responsibility, they deflect, deny, and deceive. For instance, if they lie and get caught, their response might be, you're too paranoid, you always assume the worst. If they lash out in anger, they'll say, well, if you hadn't provoked me, I wouldn't have reacted that way. Notice what just happened. The wrongdoing is never theirs. It is always yours. The problem is never their behavior. It is your reaction to it. This refusal to own mistakes keeps you locked in a cycle of guilt and confusion. Over time, you begin to wonder, maybe I did overreact. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Maybe it really is my fault. And just like that, accountability has been turned upside down. The toxic person walks away free of responsibility, while you are left carrying the weight of both their actions and your own. Healthy people, on the other hand, understand that accountability does not weaken relationships, it strengthens them. When someone can admit fault, apologize sincerely, and change their behavior, trust grows deeper. Toxic people rob you of that possibility. Their ego is too fragile to face truth, so they protect themselves at your expense. What's dangerous is how convincing they can be. Some toxic personalities are so skilled at denial that even when the facts are undeniable, you find yourself second-guessing your reality. This tactic has a name: gaslighting. It is emotional manipulation designed to make you doubt your own memory, your own perception, and ultimately your own voice. Here's the truth. Anyone who cannot admit when they are wrong is not safe with your heart. Because accountability is not just about owning mistakes, it's about growth, honesty, and respect. If someone consistently refuses to take responsibility, they are showing you that they value control more than connection. You cannot build a healthy future with someone who never takes responsibility for the past. You cannot heal in an environment where apologies are replaced with excuses, and you cannot trust someone who would rather rewrite the story than own the truth. If you find yourself trapped in this cycle, remember, their refusal to be accountable does not mean you are wrong. It means they are unwilling to grow. And the cost of staying in such an environment is your peace, your dignity, and your self-trust. Protect your boundaries, because you deserve relationships where the words "I'm sorry" are not rare but real, and where accountability is not avoided but embraced. One of the clearest measures of any relationship, whether it's with a friend, a partner, a colleague, or even a family member, is how you feel when you walk away from it. Do you leave feeling lighter, supported, and encouraged? Or do you leave feeling smaller, exhausted, and emotionally empty? Toxic people always fall into the second category. Toxic personalities are not builders, they are takers. They do not pour into you, they pull from you. Being in their presence is like standing near a vacuum. Your energy, your joy, even your hope slowly gets sucked away until you're left depleted. And here's the danger. You may not notice it happening right away. It's subtle, it's gradual, but over time, the weight becomes unbearable. Think about it. Healthy people may not always agree with you, but they leave you with dignity. They may challenge you, but you still feel respected. They may correct you, but you walk away feeling seen. In contrast, toxic people leave you feeling smaller every single time. It's not about one argument. It's about the ongoing pattern of how you feel after every encounter. Sometimes the draining happens through constant negativity. They always have something to complain about, and somehow your role becomes carrying their burdens while they never carry yours. Sometimes it happens through selfishness. They take your time, your energy, your listening ear, but when you need them, they are unavailable. And sometimes it happens through emotional dependency. They expect you to fix, save, or rescue them again and again while offering nothing in return. The result, you start to feel tired, not just in your body, but in your soul. Your creativity dries up, your laughter fades, you start avoiding their calls or dreading their presence because deep down, you know you will leave emptier than when you arrived. That is the definition of an energy drain. Here's the truth. Healthy relationships are reciprocal. They are give and take, not take and take. They replenish your strength. They restore your perspective. They remind you of your worth. Toxic ones leave you weary, guilty, and questioning yourself. The best way to discern whether someone is life-giving or life-draining is simple. Listen to your body. Your body never lies. Do you feel tension in your chest when their name appears on your phone? Do you feel heavy before meeting them? Do you feel relieved when they finally leave? That is your inner wisdom telling you something is wrong. You are not created to constantly bleed energy into people who never pour anything back. You are not responsible for being someone else's endless well. Protect your energy because it fuels your purpose, your dreams, and your peace. And anyone who consistently drains you instead of replenishing you has already shown you where they belong, far away from your inner circle. One of the most dangerous signs of a truly toxic personality is their ability to isolate you from the people who strengthen and support you. This does not always happen in obvious ways. It's often subtle, quiet, and gradual. But make no mistake, the intention is the same: to cut you off from anyone who might remind you of your worth, challenge their influence, or give you the courage to walk away. At first, it may look like harmless comments. I don't think your friend really understands you. Or, yeah, your family doesn't really care about you the way I do. They plant seeds of doubt about the people closest to you, and with enough repetition, those seeds begin to grow. Suddenly, you find yourself questioning the loyalty of people who have always loved you. Sometimes the isolation is disguised as love or concern. They may say things like, "Why do you need them when you have me?" Or, "I just want to protect you from people who don't want the best for you." At first, it feels flattering, like they care deeply, but soon you realize that what they're really doing is building a cage. They are closing off your access to people who might see the truth about their toxic behavior. And sometimes the isolation is aggressive. They may guilt you for spending time with others, so you'd rather be with them than me. They may create drama with your family or friends so that every visit feels like a battlefield. Slowly, it becomes easier to just avoid those conflicts until you wake up one day and realize that your world has gotten very, very small. Why is this so dangerous? Because support systems are lifelines. Friends, mentors, family, and communities help us see ourselves clearly when our vision gets clouded. They remind us of our strengths when someone else tries to convince us we're weak. They anchor us in truth when lies surround us. Toxic people know this, and that is exactly why they try to separate you from it. The most tragic part is that once you're isolated, you may begin to believe you have no one else. You may start to think the toxic person is the only one who truly understands you. That is the prison they wanted to build all along. And once you are locked inside, they gain full control over your emotions, your choices, and your future. But here is the truth. Anyone who tries to separate you from the people who love and uplift you is not protecting you. They are controlling you. Real love does not shrink your world, it expands it. Real friendship does not isolate, it connects. Healthy people celebrate the other strong relationships in your life. Toxic people try to cut them down so they can stand taller in your eyes. So if you find yourself pulling away from people who have always been your source of encouragement, pause and ask, am I being isolated? Whose voice am I starting to lose? And why does this person benefit from me being cut off? Those questions may save your freedom, your clarity, and even your life. Protect your support system, because the voices of truth and love around you are the strongest antidote to the poison of toxic control. At the very core of every healthy relationship is a sense of safety. Safety does not mean perfection. It does not mean there will never be conflict, disagreement, or mistakes. Safety means that even in the hard moments, you can trust that the other person will not weaponize your vulnerability against you. It means you can be yourself, unguarded, honest, and real, without bracing for harm. A toxic personality destroys this foundation. They create an environment where you are never fully safe. You cannot speak freely because you fear your words will later be twisted. You cannot share your weaknesses because you know they may be used as ammunition in the next argument. You cannot reveal your dreams because they will be minimized, mocked, or sabotaged. And so you begin to live on edge. You monitor your words, you hide parts of yourself, you start wearing an invisible armor just to survive interactions with them. That is not safety, that is emotional captivity. The tragedy of this is that human beings are wired for connection. We long to be known, to be seen, to be accepted. When you cannot find that safety in a relationship, you begin to shrink, you silence your voice, you dim your light, you reduce yourself to a version that might keep the peace, all the while losing touch with your true identity. This is what toxicity costs. It doesn't just take your joy, it steals your freedom to be fully alive. Safety is not negotiable. Without it, love cannot flourish, trust cannot grow, and peace cannot last. The moment you feel consistently unsafe, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, that is your signal. Do not wait for things to get better. Do not convince yourself that if you love harder or if you try longer, the toxicity will magically disappear.